Good evening, and thank you for attending on such short notice. This press conference was called in an effort to provide information on an officer-involved shooting this afternoon in the 800 block of Broadway in the city of El Cajon. I want to remind everybody that this information is very preliminary, as the investigation into this incident is still very active. With that being said, I feel it's important to provide our community with as much information as I can within the limits of the ongoing investigation. This means the information that I'm providing now is what we know at this point, and subject to updated information as we learn it. We're only hours into this investigation, and we will learn more as this investigation continues. In fact, our investigation crew just returned from the scene. With me is Fiona Khalil, Deputy District Attorney, Assistant Chief of the Special Operations Division of the San Diego District Attorney's Office. I'll read briefly a press release, and by the way, this press release will be sent out to your agencies immediately following this conference, so you will have all of this. Today, the El Cajon Police Department received calls of a man who was, quote, not acting like himself, end of quote. He was walking in traffic, not only endangering himself, but motorists. Two of the officers located him behind a local restaurant in the 800 block of Broadway. This male was described as an adult African male in his 30s wearing a black tank top and blue jeans. The male refused multiple instructions by the first officer on the scene and concealed his hand in his pants pocket. Because this male did not comply with the officer, a second officer arrived on scene. The subject continued to refuse commands. The second responding officer immediately prepared to deploy less lethal electronic control device, which is a taser device, while the first officer covered him. The male subject paced back and forth while the officers tried to talk to him. At one point, the male rapidly drew an object from his front pants pocket, placed both hands together on it, and extended it rapidly towards the officer, taking what appeared to be a shooting stance, putting the object in the officer's face. At this time, one of the officers with the taser discharged his taser in an effort to subdue the subject. Simultaneously, the officer who had the object pointed at him discharged his firearm, striking the male. Officers provided initial first aid on the scene until paramedics arrived and transported the subject to the hospital. While detectives were on scene investigating the shooting, a witness came forward and notified officers they had video footage of the incident. That witness voluntarily provided the cell phone video to the police department, giving written consent for the officers to view the video, and in fact, she gave us the code to her cell phone to unlock it to get the video. This was the only cell phone video provided to the officers, and no cell phones were taken from anybody. Investigators are reviewing the video and other video recovered from the scene. All video recovered so far in this investigation so far coincides with the officers' statements. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact the El Cajon Police Department. Anybody with information pertaining to this. With that, I would like to convey my sincerest appreciation to the community of El Cajon for the restraint that they've shown in light of this tragic event. Now is the time for calm. Now is the time to allow the investigation to shed light on this event, and we plan to be open and transparent within the rules of the law. Now is the time for the community to work with us and provide us with any information that is relative to this event. I will add that the two officers that were involved, the one that deployed the taser and the one that fired his weapon, both have over 21 years of service as police officers. And with that, I'll take a few questions.
Do you know anything about the man being mentally ill?
We do not. That is part of the investigation right now. Based on what we have seen right now, no, we have no indication of that.
Was there a weapon found at the scene?
No.
Can you confirm that he's died?
No. That's still part of the investigation.
Can you release his name or condition?
That's still part of the investigation. Again, this is information that the investigators are coming back with. There will be another press conference to follow. I hope to have more information, more detailed information at that time. I felt it was important that we speak to the community tonight to let them know what we are doing this so far at this point and where we stand. I will follow up with this as soon as we conclude this press conference and we send out in digital format this press release information. I will tell you this. I will attach a digital still photo from the video that depicts the moment of the altercation. And that will be sent out to all of you immediately following this.
Is there a
Since
reason why
you
you
say
can't
the
say
video
his
corroborates
condition?
the
One-
officer's accounts.
Let me finish, please.
Sure.
I felt it's important in light of some disinformation that was being put out by some of the folks that were out at the scene, that as far as we can tell, were not witnesses to the actual event. And it's important that the facts come out right now. We are investigating facts as we know them. And I implore the community to be patient with us, work with us, look at the facts at hand before making any judgment.
Pursuant to those facts coming out, why not just go ahead and release the whole video that corroborates what the officers said happened?
And that's a great question. Most of you were present last month when the chiefs and the sheriffs had their press conference video, and you understand that there's a new countywide protocol that's an amendment to our officer-involved shooting protocol. This is an agreement with all law enforcement agencies in San Diego County. This is considered evidence, and until it is deemed otherwise, it will be under the control of the district attorney's office. You bring up a very good point. In addition to our investigation into this incident, which we have jurisdiction of, the San Diego County District Attorney's Office will also have investigators review this entire investigation. That is, again, why the DA is involved tonight. Their investigators were out at the scene with our investigators.
Can you go into detail, though, why you can't say if he has lived or died? And that's a bit unusual.
And I'll tell you why. One of the reporting parties, we believe, she identified herself as the male's sister. We tried to get her to talk to us. As you can understand, she was upset. She was not cooperating with us. We can't even confirm it was her sister. That being the fact, or the case, until we identify family that might be in the city, it is not our place to talk about the condition of the male.
Just so
Can you
I'm
say
clear,
how many times he was shot?
That's part of the investigation.
So the taser didn't work? He was tased twice and he was still...
I don't remember saying he was tased twice. He was tased. The taser was deployed. And again, that's part of the investigation. That will come out in the investigation whether he was actually struck by the taser or not. But a taser was deployed at him.
Have the
Yes.
officers surrendered their weapons?
Well, so part of the protocol is in a critical incident like this, the officers will be placed on 3-day administrative leave. And that is pretty much an accepted protocol in the county, and that's what will take place in this
How for
event.
both of the
How
officers?
many officers?
Both officers, yes.
Two.
Yes.
You said the reporting party said she was the sister of the victim. Did that sister also say that he was mentally ill and that he wasn't armed?
That was part of the initial call, yes.
What about the object that he held up to officers? Do you have any details about that?
I do, but I don't want to go into that right now. It is part of the investigation. It was recovered, though, and we have that. But no firearm.
Can you describe again how he was holding the object in his hand?
The best I can describe from our witness accounts was it was a two-hand hold, shoulder level, like you would be firing a handgun.
Do you believe this may have been a suicide by cop case?
I'm not going to comment on that.
And all we can say is that he's 30 years old.
About 30 years old, yes.
Can you say why you aren't sure that that woman is even his sister?
She has not recontacted us. We've been making an effort, and by the way, if you're watching this, please contact us. We have a lot of questions. We think that she can answer them. We understand why she's upset. She is part of this investigation. We would certainly like to speak to her.
Did he have ID on him?
That I don't know.
Obviously, this shooting didn't happen in a vacuum. You're well aware of what's been going on around the country. Have there been preparations taken with other police departments, more from your police department? We understand there were some units staging nearby where the shooting happened. I mean, God knows what's going to happen after this.
Hey, look, you know, the community has a right to voice their opinions, and we support that 100%. That being said, you know, we certainly welcome any help from our neighboring. We do this all the time. Neighboring agencies, the Sheriff's Department, the CHP, La Mesa Police. Anytime there's a large crowd, we might send some officers over there. But I'll tell you, this has been peaceful. They have a right to be where they are, to say what they are, and we encourage that.
Do you think the lack of information coming out here specifically about whether he is dead or alive is going to go over well with the crowd outside?
That's something that we took into consideration. And again, there's protocols for that. We want to follow the protocol.
You're
Was
aware
this-
everyone outside already thinks that he's dead?
It's important that we follow the protocol.
Was his sister one of the people who initially called police for help?
Well, it's the person who identified herself. I don't want to jump to conclusions. That's the information that we gave. And again, it's very important we speak to her so we can verify whether that's true or not.
Was the man wearing a shirt, or was he shirtless when?
No, it appeared he was wearing a T-shirt.
He was wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Was there any call to police that he may have had a knife with him?
Not that I'm aware of.
Any indication that he was under the influence of anything?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
How many initial calls did you receive about him?
I am not aware of more than the initial call from the person who we think is the sister.
And that person
Yes.
said that she called you 3 different times and was sort of put off a couple of times because she says that.
No, that's a good point. I failed to mention that. The initial call was almost 50 minutes before we responded because of calls for service. It did take us that long to clear officers to get out there. But that is a good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
15 minutes?
50,
50?
yeah.
So there was only one call? Lieutenant earlier said 3.
She may have called 3 times. So what we're trying to say is when she initially called, correct, it took us a period of time before we actually got an officer out on the
How
scene.
many calls?
I would have to research that. I don't know
Was
for
she the
sure.
only person that called? Or-
Again,
Well, I mean, if there were multiple calls.
no, I understand what you're saying. I don't have the answer to that.
So we don't know if she could have been the only call on this?
Correct, correct.
Can you talk about the El Cajon Police Department's efforts to build bridges with people of color? Obviously, as we've said before, this is not happening in a vacuum. What is the El Cajon Police Department doing to improve relations with the Black community here?
And not just the Black community, the entire community. I think we have some great efforts to reach out to the community. We are a member of the community, but specific to the subject you're talking about, standing behind me is Pastor Miles McPherson from the Rock Church. And a personal friend of mine is associate pastor to that church, Greg Hendricks, who is sitting in the back. They called me when this happened and asked what they can do. This is a close-knit community, and the reason I'm standing before you right now is to convey the message to the community that we will be transparent, this will be investigated, this will be looked at by many sets of eyes, not just ours. As we get information, we will relay that to the community. If they have questions, ask. We will do our best within the rules of the law to answer them. And I think Miles would make himself available afterwards as this press conference as well. But those efforts have always been in place. We welcome them. Moving forward, we welcome any groups as well to work with us.
The City of San Diego has a Citizens Review Board on police practices. The sheriff has something similar. Does that exist in El Cajon?
No, it does not.
Do you think it should?
We have protocols. We follow state laws when it comes to use of force and reporting. You're all aware of the new use of force reporting requirements that are out that we are following. And based on the results of that, I feel like we're doing a good job.
Can you say were the officers asking people to voluntarily give up their cell phones?
They asked, does anybody have any video? And one person volunteered.
So just one person came
Yes.
forward and gave it?
Yes. Any other questions?
How important is it to your department to make sure that the facts that you guys get this case correct, and if there's any wrongdoing by someone in the department, that the correct action is taken?
Man, that is a great question, and that is paramount. I mean, it always has been, but in light of what you said that's going on nationally, I think it's important that we convey that message. That is part of the process. I mentioned that there will be a review of this, an initial review of this investigation, including the district attorney. The FBI is involved in that as well. They are each independent, and they will review the investigation that we've conducted. There will be many sets of eyes on this investigation.
Is this current investigation being conducted by Internal Affairs?
No,
Who's conducting the investigation?
our homicide investigation team. Anytime there's an officer, I'm sorry, anytime there's, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, in conjunction with the DA.
Well, the DA reviews the investigation. But it is protocol whenever there's an officer involved shooting that robbery homicide investigators do conduct the investigation.
So there won't be an outside agency other than the DA's office?
No, but outside agencies such as the DA's office and the FBI will review it.
So you'll investigate yourselves, and then other people will look at that?
We'll investigate this incident. And I know where you guys are going with that. The DA investigators were at the scene with our investigators as they were investigating, as they were looking through the evidence.
Do you think it might be prudent to ask an outside team to investigate this one in light of the frustration that's outside?
I trust my investigators. I trust the system, I trust the protocol, the district attorney's office, and the FBI.
In light of the crowds outside, and obviously they seem to be getting more upset, if this man was still alive, wouldn't that be information that would possibly calm the situation here?
I don't want to conject. I really don't.
Sir, what message do you have? Obviously, a lot of eyes are going to be on this tonight. This is something that's been going on in the backup. Nationally, there have been a lot of cases involved with police and African-American men. There's a lot of angry people literally outside your door right now. There's a lot of high emotions running on down at the scene right now. A lot of people are going to be watching the news tonight. A lot of people are watching this right now. What do you have to say to them as far as your message, your department's message on what you're trying to do?
That's a great opportunity. I'd like to reach out to the community to work with us on this. Let's set an example of what a community and a police department can do. This is a tragic event. We will all work through this. The truth will come out. It'll be open, and I really think this is an opportunity for the community to come together with the police department.
There was another call that came in just a few blocks away of a suspect with a knife. Is that a separate incident, or is that related?
That was a separate call.
Separate call, okay.
That concludes. Again, I want to remind everybody, if we don't have your email, make sure that we get it before you leave. We'll send out this digitally as well as the photograph. Before I conclude, Pastor Miles McPherson would like to address you.
Thank you. How you doing? My name is Miles McPherson, M-I-L-E-S, M-C-P-H-E-R-S-O-N, Rock Church. Our prayers go out to the victim, the families and friends of the victim, and the city of San Diego, county of San Diego. This is very painful to me. It's very personal. I am a black man and feel the pain on both sides of every time this happens in our country. My father was a police officer. My son's a police officer. We all want the right thing to happen. We always want the truth to come out, but we want it to come out in a peaceful way. And so as a pastor, I'm going to ask all the people watching, no matter what you believe happened, no matter what you think happens, that you pray for our city and our county. That what we see happening around the country, innocent people being shot and protesters being shot, we don't want that to happen here. And so I pray that we would be peaceful and that we would let the process take its place and let the truth come out. We want the truth to come out and the right thing to happen, no matter what that means. But we want to pray that God will be honored in the process and that we all work together to make that happen. Thank you.